Hey, my little panda cubs. So, technically, it's been 2 years, HRT. And I say I started HRT in December 2022 because that's when I started taking a full dose and got serious with my transition. But I was actually microdosing since February 2022 because I didn't know I was trans yet. I wasn't ready to accept it yet. And do remember, this is before I had a psychiatric nurse and stuff. So I was a proper schizo. Back then I was suffering psychosis. I was listening to the voices and the delusions. My demon told me to start a YouTube. My demon told me what kind of content to start making. And my demon told me I should transition because it'd be funny. It would be funny to turn into a girl. And the voices would say, and the delusions would show me, just do it in irony. You're just transitioning in irony. You're being ironic. Being ironic, so being trans is the last thing you would ever be, so you should do it just for the lols. That's kind of, yeah, that's what I gaslighted myself into believing back then, and also to atone for my past sins, like transitioning would kill my old self off and let me be a new person. It's sort of like punishing him and getting rid of him, right? But anyway, yeah, I started microdosing to see how it would make me feel. And it was several months into HRT I actually realized, oh, I'm actually starting to feel better now. I mean, about 3 months after I started HRT, I quit drugs, I cut down drinking, I quit smoking. Well, sort of. I went on to vapes. Now I'm just struggling to quit vapes. But I'll get there. I'll get there. I need my nicotine. And a girl needs her nicotine. You wouldn't like me without my nicotine. Trust me on that. But anyway, I thought it might be fun because it's pretty much 2-year anniversary from when I first started microdosing HRT and just began my trans journey. I hadn't quite figured out that I was trans yet. As I said, it wasn't until December 2022 that I finally accepted who I was and decided to go for it and went with a full proper dose of HRT. Let's go back and take a look at all my early videos, my HRT update videos namely, and see if my feelings have changed on any of the issues I used to talk about back then. 2 years of your big sis in the making. Put baby in the corner.
I've spent many years punishing myself, self-harming, indulging in self-destructive behaviour for a reason. I used to be a very bigoted person, a very hateful person, full of anger, full of toxic. I was a toxic male, toxic masculinity. Believe it or not, I used to be, yeah.
I wasn't laughing at about toxic masculinity, by the way. I didn't find it funny that I was toxic. That I was laughing because I used to be right wing. Remember, before transitioning, I used to be in the alt-right. I'm sorry to anybody who didn't know that. I've not kept it a secret. I've mentioned it many times in my past videos. But yeah, I used to be alt-right, so for me to use that kind of language, that's what I was laughing at. It's like, my God, I'm actually using the language of the leftists. This is when I was just This is when I'd just dropped my masculinity, and I'd dropped my right-wing circles.
But anyway, I thought, how further down could I force old McTosh? How much more could I kick him into the gutter? Because I really just wanted to destroy myself, you know. I just wanted to I didn't want to be him anymore. I didn't want to be him. So I thought, I know, why don't I turn him trans? So that's exactly what I did. I sort of self-parodied. I made an e-persona that was like the opposite of everything he was. I was becoming everything that would horrify him.
It's true. I mean, I started off as a parody, right? But then I sort of became a parody of a parody, and I was under so many layers of irony. I forgot where I begun and my e-persona ended. Like at first, you know, I was ironically into them. I created this e-persona that was like the complete opposite of who I was in real life, or at least the person I used to be in real life. So here I isolated myself for years. Like I didn't talk to a single human being in years, right? And then online, I just created this e-persona that was complete opposite of everything that I was or he was now. I was sort of parodying myself. It's really hard to explain. I was on drugs at the time. I can't even remember what was going through my mind at the time. Just all I knew is I was playing a fictional character, and I was sort of parodying myself. I became a parody. I became a parody trans person. I became a parody homosexual, and it was all too. And it all started from self-hate and sort of degrading and humiliating myself to ego death. I was trying to cause myself ego death. I was trying to destroy my reputation with my friends, my old circle and stuff, because I knew they were watching my Twitter and stuff. It's really hard to explain.
So to any trans people watching this, I hope you'll accept my apology that I originally thought becoming trans was like a punishment or something to be ashamed of. I'm happy. I still don't think I'm trans. I don't think I am. Because the way I did it, I sort of forced it on myself and memed myself into it. I've never had gender dysphoria. I used to be just a typical guy. I mean, I was quite a toxic.
Yeah, I don't believe that anymore. When I was young, when I was a kid, I used to have these passive thoughts that, oh, I wish I was a girl. I wish I was a girl. But back then I didn't know what dysphoria was, and I still didn't really understand what being trans was. And I grew up thinking it was normal to wish you was a girl. I grew up thinking all guys secretly wished they were girls. It was only 1 year ago, it was only last year I discovered that wasn't true, because I was talking about it with a cis male friend, and he was like, whoa, no, that's not right. No, all guys don't secretly wish they were girls. And I was like, what, really? So, yeah, I did have dysphoria, but the problem is back then I didn't know what dysphoria was. So it just manifested in other ways. Right? I've no doubt in my mind now that it's been the source of my depression all my life. I mean, I started drugs for a reason, right? But yes, that was my very first coming out video. I guess it was my coming out video before I was ready to come out yet. I still didn't think I was trans at this point. But this is when I decided to drop the on doing this to punish myself thing, because I'd made trans friends and I realized, they were amazing people. I actually miss those. I actually miss my OG circle. I wonder whatever happened to them. But they were such good people, and they didn't deserve to have me around, taking HRT, thinking it's a form of self-harm, when some of these people, they'd love to be on HRT, but they didn't have access. And to them, not having HRT is self-harm. So I had empathy for the first time. This is when I first developed empathy. Okay, moving on. 2 months HRT. Though I was on a microdosing here. I was on like 1 milligram. I think I was like on 1 milligram estrogen. I was just taking it each day. Let's see how I feel 2 months after I gave up masculinity and started microdosing.
Hi, it's your big sis, Toshi. I suppose Claire now, though I'm not, I don't know if I'm going to keep that name or not, but
It was Valerie who named me Claire. Yeah, a girl called a trans girl. Well, she's detransitioned now, so she's not actually, well, he's not actually a girl anymore. But back then he was a girl, and back then she wanted me to be her sub-girlfriend. And she's like, well, I can't just keep calling you by your gamer tag Toshi, because that was my gamer tag then, right? Toshi McTosh. She goes, you seem like a Claire to me. I'm going to start calling you Claire. So it's like, I guess my name's Claire now. I dumped that name as soon as Valerie dumped me.
So I've been on HRT for 2 months now. So I thought I'm overdue for an update. I'm sorry to any trans followers who followed me for my trans journey, who ended up getting bombarded with nothing but DRG videos. So here's an update just for you. One day I'm going to have to learn how to script these. I do these unscripted because I feel like they feel more real, but they're a pain in the butt to edit.
I still don't script. I still don't organize. Sometimes if it's like an informational video, I'll do research, so I'll take notes of all the points that I need to talk about and stuff, and I've got screenshots of sources and stuff. But apart from that, I just think, yeah, I'm going to make some content today and hit the record button and do it. And I just fix everything in editing to sort of try and make a coherent video out of it.
I'm not sure if it's the HRT or if it's just because I've been proactively trying to be a good person, but I feel empathy now, which is strange for me. I never used to. I think I used to be a sociopath. I mean, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I can't diagnose myself, but I never understood empathy. I never understood another person's feelings, and now I think I feel it a little too much. I cry a lot when I see friends in pain. I feel things for other people all the time. It's so overwhelming sometimes because I don't know how to handle it. I don't know what to do about it. So I just sort of break down and cry, and that's awkward. Um, so yeah, that's one big thing I've noticed in the past 2 months. I've become very empathetic.
I didn't used to understand empathy. I never felt it. I never felt empathy in my entire life. I was always wrapped up in my own little world, my own little problems, and the thing is, the world didn't really feel real to me, and I didn't see people as real people. They were sort of like caricatures, right? They were just like NPCs to me back then. So I didn't really feel anything for anyone. I was like the only real person in the world. And now a narcissist and a psychotic, right? That's just who he was. But yeah, even microdosing on estrogen, I really started to feel things for other people, and it would affect me back then, and it still does even now. When one of my babies comes to me on Discord with one of their problems, I feel real despair for them that I can't help them. I just wanna wrap my arms around them and hug them and make it all better. Here I'm saying it's the HRT that's done it, but now I do think it helps. I do think it helps because it does make you more in tune with your emotions. But actually, I think what gave me empathy was actually making friends. I mean, realistically, this is the first time I've actually connected with other humans on a personal level in years and years and years. Suddenly, these new trans friends I'd met, they were no longer caricatures. They're no longer just strawman arguments. They're no longer NPCs, right? And they're real people with real problems and real thoughts and real feelings. I related to them and I liked them, and I wanted the best for them. So when they hurt, I hurt. I think that's where my empathy grew from, and the estrogen just helped me be more in tune with it.
I never used to have a sex drive, like it was zero. I had none. I didn't, I never even. I'm getting all shy. I never even masturbated. And I used to avoid sex, believe it or not. Now, I was told when I wasn't told. I read when you start HRT.
That reminds me, I started doing Patreon exclusives now, and as you see, I actually did a Patreon exclusive on sexuality, and 2 days ago, it's posted on my Patreon. There, look, the link to my Patreon is in the description. You don't have to sign up as a patron to access it. There is also now a shop where you can buy individual Patreon exclusive videos at your will for it. So you don't have to become a patron to see the Patreon exclusive videos. Just head to the shop on my Patreon page. But if you would consider supporting me, I'm still a poor little tranner living in poverty, and every little helps, every support helps. Thank you very much.
It absolutely kills your sex drive. And I was starting with zero sex drive anyway, so no loss there. But it's through the roof. Crazy through the roof. I'm masturbating like a teenager going through puberty. Like double-digit numbers we're talking about here. That's probably Twitter degeneracy as well, to be fair, in the circles I'm in on Twitter.
It's true. Well, it's true. I mean, I don't know what it was. But, a couple of months after starting HRT, but suddenly things were happening down there that hadn't happened in years. I went years with nothing happening down there. I had zero sex drive, and then all of a sudden I was like non-stop playing with my still. But as she said, I said, the former me here, and Tessie, this girl that used to be me, still is me, but kind of different to me, the baby me. As baby me sees, yeah, a lot of it's probably Twitter degeneracy too, because I used to be kind of closed off sexually. As I said, I used to run in those traditional rapping circles, right, where the degeneracy is bad. And all of a sudden I was free of that, and there I was, horny, posting with all these degenerates on Twitter. Yeah, it's fun times.
I get bombarded with horny, like, every day. And oh god, I've picked up some nasty fetishes from that place. And if you're not on Twitter, please don't go on there. It's evil. I've always been straight, as in I used to be a straight guy, proper straight, like 100% straight, always. And when I started transitioning, and
I wasn't. No, I wasn't always. I wasn't always a straight guy. I was still coping, but then for some reason I'd always convinced myself I was straight. Again, here my Patreon exclusive video, I go into details as to why I know now that I may not have been as straight as I made myself to believe I was.
and started using this avatar, and people refer to me to she, to her, and I tried socializing as a trans girl instead of a guy. I noticed quite a drastic uptick in guys flirting with me, which was quite strange, but also I didn't not like it, if you know what I mean. It was quite. I found it fun and quite nice, and once, and now I'm a little too comfortable with it. I mean, once you do it for
You'll
a while,
figure it out one day.
it sort of
She
feels
will.
natural, but I still don't think I'm really into guys. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't say.
Just wait
no,
a few
I
months, you're gonna
guess.
get a boyfriend.
to trying at least, maybe a date someday, and assuming HRT works, that is. I'm still into girls primarily. I'm still attracted naturally to girls. One thing that's changed out is I'm into trans girls a lot more. Like, I used to say I wouldn't date a trans girl, and now I would, because we have that. I feel we have that emotional bond, that mental bond. We know what each other are going through, but also I guess it's because I see them more as girls now. But I'm trying to be careful with my words here, as if people who know me know I'm not very politically correct or very highly educated. So I say things that could be misconstrued as offensive, but I'm trying to watch my words here. But what I mean is I don't care about their genitalia anymore. I've probably offended. What's that got to do with sexuality? Oh, shut up. I'm trying to explain. I'm trying to explain myself. Okay.
Yeah, basically, again, before transitioning and before my little meltdown, I ran in those kind of circles. But I was just figuring it out here that, you know, trans women are women. And again, I'd only met these friends a couple of months prior, right? And for the first time in my life, I was seeing trans girls as girls. I was seeing them as girls to me. You know, even Senti back then, who was pre-HRT, I saw her as a girl. And because I used to put on a mask of being, you know, an alpha chat straight guy all my life before transitioning, I obviously had an aversion of penis. Of course, I hadn't figured out here yet where that aversion was coming from. I figured it out now, but, you know, give her a few months. she hadn't got a boyfriend yet. That came much later, and that came like, what, see, that comes in about 6 months' time.
So I'm still into girls, including girls with certain genitalia.
Yeah, sake, who's... Fuck off, what's that?
Moving on. If you remember, I used to have trouble making friends before HRT because I was so unsocialized and so isolated. I just didn't know how to talk to people or interact. So how's that changed after 2 months on HRT? It hasn't.
This was before I was diagnosed as borderline personality disorder. And also, again, I hadn't quite quit drugs yet either. And, you know, it's only been 2 months since I rejoined the world here, and being isolated for so many years. Like, I don't think I talked to a single human being in 6 years. Not online or in real life. Delivery drivers would leave stuff outside my door. I literally didn't talk to anyone. So it's like, here I was, suffering drug-induced psychosis and making the impulsive decision to transition because my subconscious was manifesting itself in my delusions and, yeah, my demon. And at the same time trying to learn how to human. I took on a lot then. I'm much kinder to myself these days. Back then I was suffering paranoid delusions and anxiety. I didn't know how to talk. I used to shake talking to people, and I'd overthink every single word, every single sentence. I just came off as really, really weird and creepy, to be honest. And the thing is, the more I tried not to, the more I did. That's one part of my life that's improved vastly. I mean, I have a whole community of people now. I've got you guys, right? And these videos have helped me a lot. I've got my Discord server. The joining links in the description. By the way, come join my server. I've got a wonderful little family in there. I've got Mummy Matoko. I've got my Denny back. I don't seem to have trouble making friends anymore. I've got a wonderful, close family and people. And for some reason or other, the people just seem to take to me and seem to like me despite me being weird. You know, I'm always going to be weird. It's just the way life molded me. I'm never going to not be weird. I'm never going to be normal, right? I'm always going to be a bit cringe and a bit of an embarrassment to people sometimes. But I am what I am, and I'm okay with it. And I have so many friends who talk to me now, and I have so many people who I'm their first port of call when they're in crisis. You know, if they want some support and encouragement or some help, they come to Big Sis, and that means a lot to me. God damn, I love you all. I really do.
I told her I loved her, and then she shouted at me and then blocked me and disappeared. What? I'm still hurting from that. It hurts. I mean, in the past, at least I know that I did something wrong, but I don't know what I did wrong. Mistrust, trouble of trusting people and opening up that I had before is completely magnified now since then because of that. Because she's the first person I tried to trust. She made me feel safe, and then so making friends is still really difficult.
It took me a long time to heal from this. Valerie picked me up when I was just a little baby trans. She made me love her. I mean, I understand now that it was BPD attachment, that I had probably not even real love. But again, this was before I was diagnosed with that. I had no idea. Just Valerie was my favourite person for a couple of months, and then all of a sudden dropped me like a sack of potatoes. And still to this day I have no idea why. Still to this day I have no idea what I did or why. It's whatever, I don't care anymore. But yes, this set me back years. I'm talking, it's only very, very, very recently I've learned to trust people again. And Naomi and Mummy Matoko and Scout and Danny, these people in particular, they've all had every reason in the world to abandon me and betray me, and not one of them have. But Mummy Matoko in particular, and Naomi out of everybody has every reason to abandon me, because she's got the brunt of my BPD schizo moments lately, which I feel bad for. And yet she hasn't abandoned me. Mummy Matoko as well, I've dysregulated on her and exploded on her. She hasn't abandoned me. I will never abandon my daughter, she says. And for the first time in a long time, I actually believe that. I genuinely and sincerely believe it. So I've learned to trust again now. I've learned to open up, and Kayla and Sophia as well, two very close friends who I trust, and I feel like I can open up to them, and I can be a real person with these people. As I said, I've got a good family. I've got a good family now, and I'm very grateful.
I can't go back to my old self, and if HRT doesn't work and transition is a fail, then what's left? I don't know. But I'm trying to stay positive. I've had 2 electrolyses now. Electrolyses. I have been thinking about there are alternatives. I mean, if HRT doesn't work, fall back on a femboy, I guess. I just be a femboy, HRT femboy. I don't know. See, like I said earlier, I don't really feel suicidal anymore. Like, I don't want to die anymore, like I used to. When I first said that. So I'm scared of what to do if HRT doesn't work now, because I don't want to die. I don't want to die.
I think that's why I was still microdosing at this point, because I had that fear that, what if HRT doesn't work? What if it doesn't work? What am I going to do then? I just had the fear that I'm never going to pass. Now, I still have that fear, but I'm not so doom and gloom about it anymore. So don't worry, I don't feel this way at all anymore. If I don't pass, it's whatever. There's always facial feminization surgery, right? I still want to pass, of course. Who doesn't, right? Of course I want to pass, but if I don't, then don't worry, I'm not going to step out in front of a train or anything because of it. Moving on.
After 1 month HRT, I said this. Am I trans, actually? Well, actually, no, not really. I'm a transsexual.
Oof.
As in, I'm crossing sex. I'm crossing from one sex to the other. I'm transitioning from male to female using
the cringe.
sex hormones. So
at this time, I was adopted by, as I said, I was adopted by transsexuals on Twitter who wanted to turn me into a real trans person. They were transnets, right? They were transmits, and they knew about the reasons I originally transitioned and stuff. And they're like, and they can't do that. We'll help you be a real trans person. And they sort of got these ideas into my head, and they were sort of indoctrinating me into their transmit circles. And I wasn't diagnosed as BPD or anything yet. And I was just trying to fit in. I was just happy to have friends. My old circle sort of distanced and vanished, so I was all on my own again, and these people took me under their wing, and they were a bad influence on me.
I am a transsexual. I'm non-dysphoric. I never suffered dysphoria. I'm not transitioning for medical reasons. No, I'm not a real trans person.
Whoa.
In that sense, I want to be a girl, but I never suffered pain from being a guy. I never looked at my reflection and I wanted to die from seeing it.
Because you didn't know what dysphoria was yet, idiot.
So no, I don't consider myself a real trans person.
You was on drugs and drinking yourself to death for a reason.
I still think that's true. No. I think I was coping, in denial.
Figuring it out.
I didn't want it to be true. I don't think I didn't want to. Okay, back then maybe I did suffer a little from internalized transphobia. Back then I thought it was like a bad thing. I basically had my entire life turned upside down with the revelation that, oh my god, I might be trans. It was always there. Because I started transitioning, and because at first I think I really fooled myself into believing it was in irony. I'm just being ironic. It's okay. I'm not really a tranny. I'm doing this for the lols because I'm bored. But then
Sorry, I think I just quit drugs. At this point, I believe it was around this time I quit drugs. I'd probably quit drugs like 2 weeks before this video, I believe, if I remember right. And it kind of shows that you can see the difference in my personality and the way I come across, and my mind. It just seems so much clearer. And of course it means at this point, because I'd quit drugs for a couple of weeks, psychosis was slowly going away.
I wasn't really, should I say, cultured or worldly. I knew nothing about it. Was alien to me. I thought they were all just, I suppose we all now. I suppose we were all just like transvestites and drag queens and gay bows. you know.
Gave her a
So
boob.
I didn't. I think I didn't suffer from dysphoria because I didn't even know what dysphoria was. Like, I knew I felt a certain way sometimes. Like I used to think, oh, I wish I was a girl, and I always chose girl characters in video games. I always liked being a girl. But I didn't have that information in my brain to connect the dots.
No, I'm sorry, I know it's kind of narcissistic, but I haven't seen these videos ever since I've put them out. And going back from the first to this one and seeing the huge difference in my outlook and development, it's actually kind of nice. I'm enjoying this. I'm I'm glad she's finally starting to figure it out. Yeah. It's so surreal because I know it's me, but like this version of me is so different to what I've become. So it's like I've gone through several different egos. And this isn't even my final form.
My nipples frickin' hurt. They hurt like a bitch. No one told me about that. Oh my god, they hurt. Ow. My t-shirt rubs against them. Ow. I accidentally brush up against a door frame. Ow. I touch them with my hands. Ow.
Ow.
My nipples. They frickin' hurt. It means my boobies are growing. My little teeny tiny booby buds. Very hurty nipples. Boobies growing.
Yeah, that came as a surprise to me. I didn't know it was going to hurt that much. And I think they're hurting again now because I started progesterone a little while back. So, enjoy your future, missus. That nipple pain is coming back.
So, here I am at the point of no return. When I first started transitioning, I said, I'll try it a few months and then stop if it looks like it isn't for me. Well, we're at that point now, so I've had to decide whether to carry on or just stop now. This is it. This is the point of no return. I knew I'd get here one day.
Ooh, do you carry on? Do you think she carries on?
I'm all in. Onwards and upwards. We're gonna carry on.
Wow, what a surprise.
I suppose. New friends were finding it hard to accept me because I didn't accept myself. I mean, if I don't know who I am, how can people know who I am? Does that make sense? I used to be very insecure and desperate, I guess. Very scared. And that made me come across as a bit funny, to put it lightly. But yeah, now I'm a lot...
bit of a fucking schizo.
I'm a lot calmer and relaxed. Has my orientation changed? That goddamn scout asked me today about my orientation.
This is before I met Danny. No, actually, I had met Danny, but this is before me and Danny got feelings for each other. I actually had a crush on that goddamn scout. Then TikTok.
Said he struggles to get flirting.
The comms are turning.
Oh. Sorry, something just clicked in my... Yeah. Has my orientation changed? Yes.
It's like the penny dropped here that goddamn scout was asking my orientation because he was interested, but I didn't realise yet I had a crush on him, and it seems he had a crush on me at this point, or at least, he was sexually attracted to me at this point, and the penny just dropped. That's what that was about.
Sexual orientation can actually change on HRT, and mine has. Sources that I'll put in the comments. I'll pin them in the comments. But hormones, I suppose your orientation is part of your tertiary sexual characteristics, right? You're male, so you like females. You're female, so you like males.
Oof.
And I know gay people exist, but we're talking baseline averages here, not outliers. Evolutionarily speaking, being straight is normal. If it wasn't, we wouldn't be alive, because there'd be nobody to make babies.
Get off Twitter.
Males evolved to like females, and females evolved to like males. So I'm just reading this study. So yeah, basically.
Look, I don't believe any of this anymore. Right? I don't believe that males are supposed to like females, and females are supposed to like males. As I said, I was under the wing of some bad influences at this time, and please don't take any of my past comments as anything I think or believe now. I'm a totally different person to this, but this was a totally different person to the person. It's character arc, right? I'm going through arcs. My current arc does not believe the same thing as this arc. Don't worry about it.
How it works is, as you change sex, your brain's like, well, I'm straight, but I'm a girl, and it suffers incorrect target acquisition. So it realigns.
Oh, quoting
Ray
Blanchard.
So I should like guys. So it realigns.
Oh, I hate myself.
To like guys.
Cringe.
I'm not sure if it works the other way around though. Like, if you're gay before transition, does it?
I hadn't figured it out yet, but I actually wasn't a straight guy. I was repressing. I was putting on the straight mask. What actually happened is transitioning just allowed me to feel free to experiment and explore and find my true self. I was just more comfortable with my sexuality. That's what happened. HRT itself had no effect on my actual sexuality or anything like that. It's only 4 months. I'm still a baby here. She's figuring it out. Go easy on her.
I also used to be dominant back in the day before transition with girls. Like, with my ex, I was the dominant.
Cope.
After transition, I've become quite submissive. I'm a bit of a bottom now.
You were always a bottom, you
and,
little.
Valerie was like dominant, and I enjoyed just letting myself go, just letting go of all my masculinity, and just, whatever, I'll be the bottom, I'll just go along. So I didn't mind the penis anymore.
Yeah, really so twisted your arm, she did.
And then I started liking femboys, and then from femboys it was like regular guys who started flirting with me on Twitter or in games. They made me blush and squirm and made me feel good. And now, like my ex, she's a hottie, but when she tries to flirt with me, I feel nothing, and it's nothing to do with her personally.
Sorry, Katie.
Because eventually I'm probably gonna end up a guy's girlfriend.
Just worry.
That's pretty much guaranteed at this point. Who the unlucky guy is remains to be seen. Yeah.
Hi, Danny.
Maybe a certain French guy.
Sorry, Danny.
My libido and drive. Now I'd say my libido is more in line typically of a female. It's still there, but it takes a little to get me going. But yeah, I'd say I have a healthy libido now at the moment. I'm just...
Yeah, when I first started transitioning, as we've talked about, my libido went through the roof. But then another couple of months in, it sort of died off, and it wasn't zero like it used to be. But it did take a lot more work to get me horny. And I believe a couple of months after this video, my PP stopped working completely. Like it stopped working completely. I'm on progesterone and now, so it started working again. I bought a dildo. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to talk about this on YouTube. Am I allowed to talk about dildos on YouTube? Someone? But I bought a dildo and I used it for the first time. And I liked it. I liked it. I like it. I liked it in me. So, oh, Naomi, leave me alone. I'm making content. Leave me alone. Just 5 minutes. Give me 5 goddamn minutes, Naomi, please.
Not quite sure how to use it or what to do with it, because it takes a lot more for me to get me going, and also because of dysphoria, I don't like using my thingy, and sometimes I get horny and turned on and excited, but my thingy doesn't work anyway.
So I thought like, it was a couple of months after this one.
How do I fix this? Oh, well, I know the answer, but no, I've not put anything in my bussy yet.
Yet. Yet. You have
I'm
now.
Not sure. So, do I have any regrets about my transitioning? Regrets? I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. Ha ha ha. No, not at all. I don't regret it. And in fact, I do have one regret. Not starting sooner. I wish I was more educated about transitioning and being trans years ago. If I started this years ago, I think I'd be happy now. I wish I'd started a lot sooner. That's my only regret.
Yeah, I still wish I started sooner. It was only a few years ago I discovered transitioning was even a possibility. You know, as I discussed in the video before, and I used to think trans people were just cross-dressers. I thought that's as far as it went. I thought we were just supposed to like pretend men are girls because they think they're girls. That's just sort of the environment I grew up in and the beliefs that, you know, were instilled into me. I had absolutely no comprehension of hormones or the effects hormones have on the body, mind, emotions and stuff. I always wished I was a girl, and I think if somebody told me it was possible, like 10, 15 years ago, if somebody said, hey, you know, you can actually turn into a girl. You can actually turn into a girl. All you have to do is take this medicine and it'll change your body this way and that way and this way. I'd have done it. I would 100% have done it. But sadly, I didn't know medical transition was actually a real thing. I had no idea. And I've lived under a rock, right? This is why we need more LGBT education in schools. Though that wouldn't have helped me because I never went to school. I was too busy down the pub.
But no, I don't regret transitioning. I'm actually quite having fun with it at the moment. I'm excited, especially after seeing some physical changes finally. It's really uplifted my spirits. I already made a video saying I'm not going to kill myself next year now. If HRT doesn't work, I'm going to check out other options, this FFS, monotherapy, and if all that fails, I'm just going to fall back on femboy. I'll just be a femboy.
I still think that sometimes. I have a passing thought, since I'm never going to pass, why don't I just be a femboy? I'm a girl. I'm a girl. See, I accepted that I'm a real trans person quite a while back now, quite a long time ago. Well, a year ago now. About a year ago, I accepted I'm a real trans person. I'm a girl inside, and I can never go back to he, him pronouns. Femboys are boys, and the problem is I'm not a boy. Even if I don't pass as a cis female, I'm still female. I'd hit that point in my life now where I would rather live the rest of my life as a non-passing trans girl than I would as a boy. And there we have the birth and evolution of your Big Sis. I went from a scared little schizo who had no idea she was trans yet, and they actually happened sooner than what I remember. I used to, for some reason, I thought that arc took a year to me to get to. It seemed I pretty had it almost figured out by month 4. A little treat for those of you who are still here watching, because if you're still here, still watching after all that, Jesus, you really are a big sis enjoyer, aren't you? So here's a treat for you. Here's me before HRT. Yeah, that's me before HRT. I think this was 2 months after HRT. Or was it? Or is this 4 months after HRT? Yeah, this is 4 months. This is 4 months HRT. And this, I believe, is 1 year HRT. And this is me now. This is what I look like now. Hopefully I've still got some development going. I'm not sure if it's true or not anymore, actually. My mummy Matoko says it's not true, but I used to be told that if you don't pass after like 10 months HRT, it means you're never going to pass. So I don't know how true that is anymore. I'm going to have to do some research onto it. I'm going to have to do some research into it. There you go, there's my next video. There's my next video idea. How long does it take to pass, right? Thank you to those who have stuck with me through. Cosmo, are you still watching my videos? You supported my Patreon. You're literally my OG patron. And you're still there on my patron list. And thank you. Particularly, I think you, out of everybody, has seen me grow the mouse. Zippity?